Or, so the first agenda item is to just go through all the updates and to do some last call. Thank you so much, Simon, for summarizing those, and also Lisa, who is responsible for testing. And just before that, I just wonder if you guys discuss about, there might be some confusion who is responsible for testing which ticket. Just wonder if there's like a decision how we can figure that. If you guys already decided how to decide who should be responsible for taking which ticket. Simon, do you want to go just to share that one?
Yeah, from the last discussion, I think we saw it was not clear exactly who should be testing tickets. Some of us initially thought it was only CDSS, but then we find the tickets which CDSS may not really be able to test. Then there's also other tickets that we may, at our own discretion, decide we have to put instructions on how to test. So from the discussion, we thought whoever creates a ticket should be ultimately the person testing. There could be other people testing, but the one who created should have the final say. Yeah. But I think we were not exactly so clear on the final decision of how to go about testing.
Okay.
So maybe if you guys had a chance to think of other ideas, maybe I can bring up.
Okay, so maybe the ticket requester should be the one that to do the testing. If he or she is not able to do it, he or she should be posted on the ticket as a comment asking others to help. Would that be like a safe assumption? Maybe we can circulate through this stuff, and then other people can comment with this definition. Okay.
So, Ada, I just wanted to just say.
Yeah, go ahead.
So usually, I think I kind of mentioned this in the last call. So usually, like if there is an issue or a bug or a new feature that needs to be implemented, there's someone who files a ticket. Sometimes it's you or Will, or sometimes it's even us if we find a bug and when we're doing something else and we file a new Jira. So most of the, and if, especially if it's a new feature, maybe something like, for example, the font change, the size of the font. So in cases like this, I think because the person who is actually asking for the change request has a lot of context, I feel that it's best if that person tests it. Additional people can test, but that person has to be the person who will actually see that whatever he or she has requested for is okay and it's working as per their expectations, and then they should close the ticket. But it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't test it, but I feel that at least this person should test it apart from others.
Yeah. So the primary person to do the testing would be the requester, and then other people can also can also do testing whenever it's relevant. Would that be a safe assumption?
Right.
Yeah.
So usually, doesn't it get added? I mean, doesn't that, let's say that I file a Jira today, don't I get added as a watcher on the Jira? Like, so every time there's an update on it, I will get notified, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So I think because we already have a workflow in place for the life cycle of a Jira, like we have open, on hold, in progress, and code review and testing. I think it should be the responsibility of the person who has filed the Jira to kind of know that once the status of the Jira has moved to testing, that they should proactively test it and close it.
Sounds reasonable.
I think I agree with that, Ed. I just wanted to ask a question I had from Robai. I think she was not clear. She thought some of the things they test, they may not be sure or kind of have the final say as to close the ticket. So they were concerned. In the previous discussion, we said it is the testers who will close the tickets. So I explained to her this decision. The person who creates a ticket will be the one to test, and again, as per the discussion, it should be that person who will eventually close the ticket. So I think there are two things: there is testing, and there is eventually closing a ticket. And then another thing I also wanted to raise is that some of those tickets, as Switha put it correctly, we developers are the ones who file the tickets. For some of them, if you are the one who filed a ticket and then you went ahead to work on it, then you would require somebody else to do the testing. And therefore, in my view, I think there should be a way of, in such a case, assigning somebody else who should take up the responsibility of ensuring it is tested and closing the ticket. So I don't know what do you think about that, or whether it makes sense.
Yeah, I think what you mean is like for the scenario that the tickets are filed by developers, he or she already did certain testing already, and then based on the code, it will be it should require to be tested by another person just to confirm. Since like everyone tested a little bit different, or seems like you're the one who made the code, like you test a certain way, maybe other users would test it in a different ways.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for those cases, it's okay to request like include the other users' name as a comment so that they receive the message that they should be helping with testing. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
So so the issue of assigning, I think in the discussion we said once a developer works on a ticket, then we should change the assignee to now that person would be testing. I was wondering, I don't know whether Jira has capability of introducing a field of saying, because an issue has been assigned to the person working on it, and then another field of saying who should now be testing it, assuming that the person who created is not the one who will be testing.
Yeah, so maybe let's put a to-do for me to explore whether that is possible. I think that would be cleaner to separate them instead of changing the assignee from um, the developers to the tester, because I think it will create confusion later on, just a little bit harder to do tracking on certain things, especially for like performance and things like that. I would suggest to have like a different field for tester, someone, to track for who the tester should be.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any other comment or questions for testing or testers? Okay. If it's no, just move on to the next agenda, the agenda item that just to go through the to-do and updates from last Friday's call. So there were a lot of tickets under the testing column, and then because it wasn't really clear or confusing for folks to know who's doing the test, and but I did see after clarification some of the tickets has been have updated the status. So I'm not going to look at those tickets already closed. So maybe just go through the rest of the tickets that's still on the testing um, column. So the first one is 281. Update mUzima JS to be serialized and populate forms with ops data, Simon. So this one, do you want me to do the testing for this one?
Yeah, Mary is currently testing this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would still be great if you can also
Okay.
test it.
Mhm. Okay. So just put on this one. And then the next one is 282. Update OS processor. I think it's the same one, right? One is on the service on the mobile side. This one is on the server side.
Yeah,
So who is Mary also testing this one?
yeah, she's testing this as well.
Okay. Um, the next one is 291 app crash. If we try to download provider with the system ID, um, so Shweta?
Yeah, hi Ida.
Mhm.
So I thought this one was fixed. So what
So
is the issue with this?
yeah, it's still showing testing native for this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure who is supposed to test it, Ida. I mean, I've tested it on my end, but
Okay.
I think I need another person to test it and close it.
Oh, it say Simon and Mary to test on this ticket. If needed, to reach out to Sweden for assistance and clarifications.
Actually, this one we tested, so we decided, me and Mary, it was to be closed. So I think we should close this one.
Okay, this one worked as expected.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This one, next one is 294, unable to save form as it is having JavaScript error. Manisha?
Um, Ida, Manisha is not on the call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I,
Let me just see. A name. Yeah, so this is because there was an error in the JavaScript and
mhm,
Manisha fixed it.
mhm,
So I think the way I asked her about how we should go about testing it, and
mhm.
she said basically you should be able to fill out the form and save it as complete. If you're able to do that, you're good.
Okay, so I think this
Should
one
I
is.
ask her to put some instructions in there? Would
Yeah,
that
I
help?
think it would be helpful to know which forms that we should use for testing for this one, or any of those from the form repository.
I think this problem that she fixed was happening across all the forms.
Okay.
Yeah. So and looks like there's no description either. So I'll just ask Mani. I don't have a lot of context.
Uh-huh,
I just know that it is something she fixed.
uh-huh.
I will ask her to update it.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to put this back to waiting on information, and then we can just move back. Okay. So the other two, and then the rest of, I think that's pretty much for all the tickets on the testing column. Is there any comments or questions before we move to the next agenda item? The next one is to do the retrospective review for current sprints. Before we do that, I want to ask if there's any pending items or tickets that need clarifications that we should address for the current sprint. Okay, sounds like a no. So let's do the retrospective review. Very obvious that things that so we want to do like things that we are on the right track, and then things that we could have done differently and also improve on. So obviously the things that got improved on is about the communication on the testers. Except this one, is there any other that anyone can comment on for the retrospective review?
I don't have anything on my end, Ada.
Okay, cool.
Will I improve by having more tickets? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so like the way that we have done for these sprints, let's say that to identify the area that we could have done differently so that it would be better. So let's say that from last Friday's discussion, because it was unclear or there's some confusion about who the testers are, and that's why there's a backlog on the testing column.
Mm-hmm.
So the suggestion would be having more clear definition, the testing procedures, and also who the testers should be.
Right, I agree.
Win is funny. Go ahead, Win.
Yeah, I think we probably should add more information in the acceptance criteria, so at least people know what is expected to be tested on the ticket. I think that should help our testing, I think.
Acceptance criteria and also instructions for testing.
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone? Thanks, Lauren.
So Ada, we still have to kind of figure out how we are going to notify the person, right? Like right now we're totally depending on that person to be watching the Jira and watch for the status change of the Jira going from in progress or whatever it is to is testing needed, and then that person actually tests it and closes it.
Yeah. So if you put on the comment, if you put the person's Jira username, it should get a notification.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're saying that we should have dedicated person and time at the end of the sprint to do the regressions testing. So when do you want just to explain a little bit for the implementation team?
Yeah, I think every sprint we put a lot of new code and then feature and bug fix. I think at the end of the sprint, uh, probably a few days before the sprint, we do the regression testing. So we'll have someone at a dedicated time to just go through the application, making sure that we don't introduce any new bugs after uh, the fix or something like that.
Okay. Is it clear for everyone? So, like to secure more time before the end of the sprint, so do a more like a comprehensive testing, so to make sure that um, um, fixes from different tickets are not really causing any conflict or breaking anything. Okay. Cool. So like we have like a few suggestions how we can done it better. Um, so is it clear for everyone in terms of the testings expectations? So just to summarize for those who joined the call a little bit late, so what we propose is that to have a better clarifications on testing and the testers. So one thing is to look into either to look in the Jira to see if it's possible to have an additional field to capture to assign the testers just to separate the confusion sometimes when the developers is the assignee and then he or she actually need other people to be responsible for testing. Another thing is even someone is assigned as a tester, it doesn't mean that he or she is the only person to do the testing. Other relevant parties should also do the testing. Another one is to provide better clarifications for the testers, especially on the acceptance criteria and also instruction for testings, to secure a little bit more dedicated time for the person to do the testing before the end of the sprint, so that it's more comprehensive testing can be done to make sure that it's not causing any other conflicts, especially the new features and the codes introduced from different tickets. Is it clear for everyone?
Yeah, I have a question here. So
Go
when
ahead.
who are you? Could you give an example of who could possibly be this dedicated person? Are you saying one of the developers should do it, or someone like maybe Derek or Robai?
I think
Or
dedicated person by default would be the requester, right? The ticket requester. For the case that if the requester is the developers, we should find someone else, right? Additional person to do the testing instead of like the requesters, simply because we want to have like at least the one that who changed the code, not he or she of course would do the testing by default. So for cases like that, just like what Simon pointed out earlier, it would be nice to have a different person to do the testing, just to catch something just in case.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought what Vin was suggesting is that, let's say for this sprint, Shweta's has, apart from being doing some work on the tickets, Shweta's a dedicated person to actually keep um, track of which tickets need testing, and I actively test it and I move it to done. If there is someone. Okay, so what I'm not understanding is, let's say if it's Lawrence or someone else who is actually requesting for it, do they have? Um, is it like once Lauren tests it and he says it's resolved, is that the end of the ticket, or do we need someone like either Simon or Vin or Ada or me or someone who's like actually working on
I think
the code?
so. Wayne can correct me if I'm wrong. So what I see is that for the pre-testing phase, it should be the one that who assigned, who requested it, or the testers. Um, so what I think what Wayne is trying to say, like after the code review, and then because after the code review, and then we will provide update the APK or OMOP based on quite a few changes for testing, and then during the testing phase, I think it needs to be a dedicated person just for this column testing. Is it correct, Wayne? So yeah, so I think that, so like on the pre-testing column should be the person that the requesters or the tester that we assigned, and then after the code review, a dedicated person should do like the comprehensive testing for all those tickets on the testing column with the updated APK that for all these changes for a bunch of different tickets. So I guess I would be the primary person for the testing column. Of course, I want other people to help as well. Is this still confusing, Shrita?
No, not really. I think I'm okay with this. But maybe we should send out a formal email about how we plan to test and close tickets so that it's clear to everybody. Because I think we've gone back and forth about it. I'm not sure what the
okay. Sure, I think we can just summarize what we talk about, and then we circulate to get a consensus or like clarifications. Okay. Stefano, do you want just to comment further what you mean?
Sorry, Ed, just say that again.
Yeah, you put a comment on the chat. Can you just
explain further? Yeah, that's Lawrence.
That's me.
Lawrence.
Okay, Lauren.
I know. I was just trying to say if once we are done with the sprint during the week, there might be problems that will be device specific. So I don't know how that would play out if one person was to test, but I know everyone has to test their bit and give feedback. I think ultimately we all have to give feedback based on the kind of devices we are using. Of course, unless we are availing every kind of device that's being used to the tester, which would be different.
So, do you mean, for example, is the Huawei device? Is it what you mean So
assuming like when we had the highlighting problem that was specific to the Huawei and I think the phones that are being used by LAC. So I think if one person was to test, probably say for instance me using a tablet, I might miss out a problem that might be faced by LAC, depending on the devices they're using.
I think I think the CDSS team has helped us to collect some background information from each program. One of the information they collect is what type of devices the program uses and also how many of them. I think once that list finalized or like updated, and we can at least to include the minimum different type of devices that we should consider for testing. I think that would be really helpful for us, in case for certain device-specific problem, and then those I think need to be filed differently on the different tickets, because if let's say that all devices working properly, it just happened to one specific type of device, I don't think we should let the ticket to drag just because of that, unless you guys feel the other way.
Yeah, for that information we have collected, and we have on the Google document. Maybe we'll compile them and share with the larger group.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Like that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
The next agenda item is about the new, ticket grooming for the new springs, and I see there's still quite a lot of tickets still in the in progress column, and some of them are still on the haven't even started yet. So I really want to clean it up before we start to include more new tickets. So would that be okay for us to do another 1 week short, like a short sprint, so that we can clean this up? I just don't want to keep dragging. Yeah. So we agree, and how do other people feel? Okay, cool, Simon. I just want to clean this up first. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like a short sprint or not, but I agree that I think we should just clean this one up first before we move.
Yeah, I don't want to add too many tickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay for what? Do you guys just to look at that? Do you guys think the 1 week is enough?
Probably not.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
My preference would be 2 weeks.
Okay, so we'll move all the current tickets to a 2 week sprint. I just want to clean it up first, yeah, because if
What
not,
does
it just
one
doesn't make
think?
sense. Go ahead.
What others? Well, the to do is still on Archana, so maybe 1 week is fine. I think it.
Okay. So let's vote for 1 week versus 2 weeks. Can you guys vote? I think 1 week should be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will talk to Achana to see whether maybe we can remove some to the a couple of, like, just to check with her how much time she needs for her tickets. And then if it just cannot finish in a week, and then we'll move the other for the backlog. Okay, 1 week. Okay, cool. So let's just do that. We still have 20 minutes left. Just want to see if there's anything you guys want to discuss, or we should call it a short call today.
Eda, mine is in form of a question.
Okay, go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, Griffin asked me which is the latest APK they should be using. So I didn't have an answer, and so my question is, how do we know the current APK that should be in use, like latest?
This is for testing or for use on the field?
Use on the field.
Yeah, I think so. Win, do you have any thoughts on this one? Maybe you remember, like, we used to have like three folder, like dev, beta, and
Yeah. I don't know how far we should give them. I mean, the latest one I put it in the mUzima Dropbox, and I think it should have the date information with it.
Yeah, I think the question, I think the question is which version of the APK is most stable, is the latest stable, most stable version, so that it can be used on the field in production.
Yeah, I think because the latest one have all the changes. I think after all this testing is closed, we can say the latest one is the stable one. The thing is, we put a lot of changes on the server side and the form itself. So if you just download the old one, it could be not compatible in terms of because we changed the way we download, we changed how we process the form data. So I was kind of wondering which server version are they using?
Yes, yeah, I think this is a good point because there's a lot of dependency, right? Because not just about the APK, but also different modules. So I think this is a very good time for us to even think about what is the cycle we should commit for like stable release. Does it make sense? So that it would reduce a lot of confusions, which one to use for production, and also that all those related or dependency things that that it might cause confusion and also like need to be updated at the same time, so it would remove a lot of confusions.
Yeah.
So
How about this? How about if after the following sprint, we will say on every sprint we will put one APK, and then with all the modules, and then we say the output of this sprint is this APK, and then all this module, and then if you want to use, then you should use what comes from the sprint.
Yeah.
So I can create a folder in our Dropbox. Oh, for this sprint, the output is this. For this sprint, the output is this.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. That I agree with you. So in addition, that I have one more comment and question. Is so let's stable release. For production quality, or whatever. I think it's also helpful to include what changes for that release, so that the users can expect certain new features already included in that release.
Yeah, I think if we use the sprint as a release, we can easily just pull, oh, in this sprint we fix this ticket, and this ticket. I think
That's possible.
that's possible. I think.
Yeah, maybe we should think of a little bit more like automatic way, because when I look at here, I don't know if you guys can see on the left side. Can you guys see on the left side? It has like the version. I wonder if we can, this can be used, use the version to keep track on the code releases. Can we take advantage of this?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so that it's just easier, because sometimes it's even hard for me. I have to go through manually, you know what I mean? I have to search and then edit it, so that we know, like, okay, for these tickets would corresponding to this release and things like that, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think we should use the version number, Ada.
Yeah.
Ed, I think I like where the discussion is headed. Just wanted to point out, so because it was hard for me to give him an answer, I know that if he uses the latest APK, then he will have to update all his forms, and then on the server side as well, the users will have to resolve all the errors that are currently in the error key. Because, for instance, they change from HTML registration discriminator to JSON registration discriminator, means that the new OMOD will not be able to process any old registration data. So I think even the different projects will have to, like, they take this time, maybe during this sprint, to make sure all the backlog is resolved. And when we shall have now the first new APK, then they will need to update the forms and also the OMOD on the server side.
Yeah, because I know what you mean, because there's still some older versions that's still in the queue, or actually in the field. So that might, I see what you mean, Simon. That if we introduce the latest one, and then the old one, the one that we use the previous version might end up with more errors.
Yeah, that's correct.
So do you have a sense of how we, do you have any proposal how we can handle that one? Because I think that one will cause more problem because and confusion for the implementers actually, what you point out. So do you have like a proposed solutions for that?
Not really, but most likely we'll have to talk to them. Yeah, okay. I wanted to say about the forms. I think they will have to. Okay, I don't know whether Win can update first what is.
Yeah, Win, can you explain further?
Yeah, that's a really good catch, Simon. I think if they update the module, then because we changed the discriminator recently, one of the approach we can do for that one is we can create a liquid-based script. So when it will check if there is any HTML registration and then update that field into JSON registration. That is one way we can go with that one. And then I don't know what other issue we might encounter along the way, but that is a really good catch. I think we should add that liquid-based script.
So just to speak from the user's point of view, we would not be able to tell. Things like that would really impact, create, what might create it, what other issues might create it further. So can we also include in our release procedure that one step, something like that, to do like some kind of what you propose when, for the liquid-based script just to catch those. Like for this case, this is very specific example. Is there other cases that we need something different to catch that? And who would be responsible to make sure that this step is being conducted?
Yeah, I think because I'm on the ground, I could easily understand when we are doing any changes. So I think I will take that one up.
Thanks, Simon. What do we call this step? Is there like a formal name we should assign for this step? Simon, Wayne, do you have suggestions? What we call this?
I think, or maybe because we are migrating from the old module to the new module. So I think upgrade resolution, or we are resolving migration issues, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Yeah. Okay. Well, so maybe we can just use upgrade resolution for now, and then if it doesn't make sense, we can replace it. Cool. So just want to summarize what we talked about is that so that the CDSS team can hear it, because I think they got dropped off from the call just earlier, and then they just jumped back. So we're talking about Simon asked the question like, how can the user know which one is the most recent and stable releases in terms of APK and all the related modules or forms. And so what we suggest is that after the sprints and it should have like another publications or release on those stable APK and modules, and then also include what the new fixes or and also the new features, so that the users would know what to expect. And what Simon was brought up is that it also can cause some kind of conflicts, especially there might be a lag time between those who use the previous version versus the new versions being installed. So we need to introduce another step called update resolution, so that it can catch any discrepancy or errors before it moves further. So that's pretty much everyone we just discussed about. And let us know if you have any questions or comments on this CDSS team. And also Lawrence.
Yeah, so Eda, just to understand this upgrade resolution process, considering we have over 100 phones out there, will we get to a point where we stop them from working until or it's a continuous process, whether they send the old ones at some point until we catch up with the new version installed on their devices, the forms will still be processed?
Simon, do you want to come on this one? I think this is more like of Simon.
Yeah. We won't stop. The data will keep coming. We shall resolve it on the server side. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Cool. I think this also would be really helpful for us to know, so that we know, as of this day, all these being published and also recommended for production so that in case something happens, it's easier for us to track as well, I think. And is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or that's it for today's call? Going once, going twice. So we're done. Go ahead, Smita.
Nothing from me, Ada.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you guys. So we will start the 1 week sprint.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.